I belong to you.
Hi guys, it's Kelsey here. Welcome back to my channel, Law & Order SVU OC fan. And in this video, I'm going to be recapping and reviewing the second part of the SVU premiere, Season 23, Episode 2, Never Turn Your Back on Them. If you saw my last video, I recapped and reviewed the first part of the season premiere, so if you want to go ahead and go back to that video and watch that first, and then you can jump into this video because I will be recapping the second part of the season premiere. So in this episode, we go right into the very next moment with Rollins and the undercover detective Joe Velasco in Jenna's house. She's missing, and her parents, they're trying to find her, trying to find out where she is. And very quickly, it seems that the mother does know something, and the father is just freaking out. He seems like a bit of a jerk. But then Velasco kind of sees the mother and, reacts to her and, asks if she has a cell phone. And Velasco actually puts his number in the mother's cell phone, so he's kind of on her side, and he kind of sees that there's more going on than meets the eye. So then him and Rollins head back to the squad room, and then we come to find out that Chief Garland wasn't included in the press conference in the previous episode, and Benson actually wanted to let him in on it, but Chief McGrath said no. And I kind of wish Benson would have said something in that moment, just because McGrath is trying to pin her and Garland against each other. He thinks Garland is dirty because Catalina Machado is dirty, and at the end of the last episode, she's found dead on the roof of a car. So it's clear that she was murdered. It looked like suicide, but clearly it was murder. She was pushed to her death. So they're all trying to figure out why Catalina Machado's dead. One of the guys who was working with Congressman Howard, who was going to testify against him, was also found dead. And another guy who was in prison, I think was working with Congressman Howard as well, was actually, he was beaten to death in prison. So we've got 3 people dead and more questions than answers. So then we, later on in the episode, they find Jenna where she is in this house. Everybody's there except for Benson. Of course, with her ankle, she can't be running around chasing people. So they try and bust in the house, and Kat gets shot, but the vest catches it, but then it turns out the bullet snuck under her vest. So she's bleeding pretty bad. Finn, calls for help and gets her into the ambulance, and then Rollins and Velasco try and take these people down and try and find Jenna. And Jenna is actually trying to escape on top of the roof. She's crying and pleading with them, why do you want to save me? My dad's going to kill me. Because it turns out Jenna was actually an intern for the congressman when she was 15. So then we kind of get a little bit of a backstory there, and then Velasco trying to talk her out of jumping off the roof. Rollins is standing close behind him, and he says, my dad used to beat me pretty bad with a belt. So he takes off his belt, to try and convince her to come off the roof and let him help her. And eventually she does, because he can kind of see that the man is abusive and a little bit of a jerk. Even when Jenna is found safe and sound and back with her parents, the dad kind of comes across off as racist towards Velasco, but with Rollins, he seems completely fine and treats her with respect. So there's that as well. And then you can also tell that the mother knows something that the father doesn't know. Mothers know everything, but a little bit more on that. So back with Kat, Finn is riding in the ambulance with her, she's losing consciousness, she's losing a lot of blood, and it's pretty scary because we know that this is the episode where Jamie Gray Hyder leaves the show. There were a lot of theories going around where we didn't know. Some said she was going to die, and others said, oh, maybe she'll quit. So with her being shot, it kind of elevated, oh, maybe she does die. So Finn's pleading with her, trying to get her to stay conscious, on the way to the hospital. Finn even tries to tell her a bad joke. But she does end up flatlining on the ambulance, and Finn is just being so soft and I don't remember him ever being that soft towards someone in the squad before. I just thought that was a really a different side to Finn. We never get to see that a lot with him. And but he calls Benson earlier and says, we're taking her to the hospital. She's been shot. And she says, keep me posted. So while Benson's on her way, Finn is trying to keep Kat conscious in the ambulance. She flatlines. And then very next moment, we see Benson getting out of the car. Kat isn't still on the gurney being transported into surgery. So she is alive, but she's going into surgery. And you can tell Finn is just so devastated. He blames himself that he couldn't save her, that he couldn't protect her like he wanted to. But Benson says, don't blame yourself. It wasn't your fault. And he just has this heart-sunken look on his face. And I just felt so bad for him. Meanwhile, Rollins and Velasco are still talking to the parents. And then later on, we do find out that her mother does know something. She actually ended up saving one of Jenna's dresses that she was wearing when she was with the congressman. And it turns out that he got her pregnant when she was 15. So that completely puts things in a whole other direction with this case. So then Velasco and Benson meet her at a restaurant, and they are, they're talking to her, trying to figure out why she would hide something like this. She should say, oh, my husband doesn't know, he can never know. So they make a deal with her, and then she starts talking about how she was an intern for him, and, they were a little skeptical at first, but he seemed nice, and then he threw her a birthday party when she turned 15, and then she says something happened at that birthday party. Come to find out, something did actually happen, because next thing she knows, she finds a pregnancy test in her daughter's trash can, and then she tries to confront Jenna about it, and she denies it, that anything happened. But then the congressman actually paid for her to get an abortion, so, which is pretty dirty and pretty shameful. It like I said earlier, it just puts things in a whole other direction for this case, because now they actually know that he did do something. He's going to be charged. He's going to be sent to prison. It's just how to take him down. So meanwhile with Kat is out of surgery. She is recovering, and Finn is by her bedside in the hospital. And she comes out of surgery, and she starts talking about how she doesn't, she felt like she isn't where she belongs. Like, she feels like she shouldn't stay at SVU. And Finn's like, oh, what are you talking about? You're talking crazy. You just got out of surgery. And then Kat's like, well, I'm not so sure that I want to stay at SVU. So then her girlfriend Celine walks in and visits with her. And then meanwhile, Benson and, the detectives they're talking with the congressman, trying to take him down, because now they have him on a rape charge. They have him on all these different things. There's no going back now. He can't hide it anymore. So bantering back and forth with Benson, turns out that his bodyguard or his lawyer was responsible for not only for the murders, but he was also responsible for paying for Jenna's abortion as well, which we kind of figured that anyway. But now the congressman is charged, and then his bodyguard or his lawyer claims that he has more information, dirty information on politicians, Hollywood celebrities, and he says he's willing to give all of that up in exchange for not going to prison. So, talking with ADA Carisi. So it was a kind of a creepy moment, him talking to Carisi, because we don't know. It's very scary because he does have this power to him. He has all these information on all these people, which is a good thing, but at the same time, it's just very scary. This is the real world. This is actually reality that we're living in right now. And I like that SVU actually brought that to the screen and told it with the story. So I actually did like that. But now they don't want to take down Gold, which is his bodyguard lawyer. That's his name, Congressman Howard's lawyer's name. So he's not going to prison, which means that they're not going to get any more information on any of the people that he has information on, like politicians and Hollywood celebrities and anybody else he has information on. So then we get to see Kat walking into Benson's office and asks if she could talk to Benson. And so she sits down and she basically tells her, I can't stay here. The near-death experience, I think took a toll on her. She said she feels like she doesn't belong. She feels like, she could have, how much longer can she fight for justice? Especially her being bisexual and being a person of color as well. Benson keeps pleading with her, fight with me. And she says, well, how long do we have to keep fighting for? I don't have 20 years on the job like you do. And then Benson she smiles and she says, well, our door is open if you ever want to come back. And that's how it ends with Kat. I'm very, very happy that she didn't die. Actually seeing her, knowing after she had the surgery, I kind of figured, okay, she's going to quit. She's going to leave SVU. So then at the end of the episode, we see not only Kat leaving, but Garland is also leaving. Benson goes up to his office and Garland is packing boxes. He's packing up his office. So not only does she have to deal with one of her detectives leaving, she has to deal with one of her chiefs leaving as well, who she grew to respect and admire and care about as a person. And you could definitely tell that from the way they interacted with each other. And then McGrath just trying to pin them against each other, saying that he wasn't loyal to her, or, she wasn't loyal to him, when it wasn't the case at all. So then McGrath comes into Benson's office at the end of the episode, and then we see her, basically McGrath is telling her, I'm going to be temporary chief until we get somebody, and, you just report to me. Do you have a problem with that? And she said no. So that's going to be interesting to see how her dealing with McGrath, and not only her, but the rest of the detectives deal with McGrath as being temporary chief until they get somebody else in there. I did like Joe Velasco. I did like his character a lot. I wasn't sure about him at first. Maybe he's going to be Rollins' new partner. We'll see in this episode coming up on Thursday if he's going to be back. But I did like the episode overall. It was really, fast-paced, edge of your seat. You didn't know what was going to happen next, especially with Kat and Garland. We didn't know where they were going to leave them because Jamie and Damore left the show. I was really sad to see both of them go, but just thank you to Jamie and Damore for your time on the show and for your acting on the show. It was just really brilliant and amazing, so just thank you so much, and I cannot wait to see what other projects the two of you will have next, because I have no doubt that we'll see you in something else soon. So that's it for my recap and review of the second part of SVU, the season 23 premiere, Never Turn Your Back on Them. And comment below and let me know what you guys thought of the premiere. Overall, stay tuned for my recap and review of the Organized Crime Season 2 premiere in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye.